Hey, it's Mr. Johns. Welcome to this episode of Projects with Mr. Johns. I don't know what to call it. I'm a project guy, constantly doing projects. Constantly. I've got to have multiple projects going at the same time. But I've had students ask me, and I've had viewers ask me, where are the videos for all these projects I supposedly do? So that's true. I typically don't slow down enough to make a video about it. So this is my Lego shed that we're looking at right here. So that is a project that I don't spend enough time doing. So lots of projects in there for sure. And now that the weather's cooler, I should definitely be out there. There's no AC in that building. So this project was replacing this flower box right here. I was so proud of. I ran a water line up to it. You can see right here, it goes up through the bottom, and I had a drip line that went to each plant. The planter box was made out of old, and I'm going to emphasize the word old fence wood, and it was up for about 2 or 3 days. When I came home that day, it was gone. Everything was down on the ground. The plants had survived, but they had fallen 10 feet, 12 feet. So this project is replacing that planter box. So the plants survived. This is them. They're a little beat up. I placed it on a pretty thick piece of wood. I was going to go buy a piece of wood and make sure I've got high quality wood, but I had a pretty heavy duty piece of wood here that I thought would probably work. What I'm doing is trying to measure. It looks like 32 inches is where I put the mark. I'm trying to make a box that will fit 3 pots of this size. And any year I could just swap these out and put 3 different plants in there. These are all mums, which look nice in the fall time. So also wanted to know depth. I need to know how deep to make it. So just making some quick measurements. And how tall should I make it? I think I went 8 inches. So I want to make sure I hide the pots, but that most of the plant is up and over the edge so you can see them. So I marked that out with pencil using a yardstick and a jigsaw to cut that piece out. And then simply just screwed it together, made sure I used multiple screws, not nails, and this thing should be pretty solid. And then went to Lowe's and picked up these stakes, and they're really made for just pounding into the ground, so you can tie string to it and mark out property lines, or where your garden will go, stuff like that. But I think they would make kind of a neat little fence pattern. I was going to custom make them, then I thought that's a lot of cutting and a lot of wood that I need to find. So I'll just go buy a pack or several packs of these, which I did. So what I did is I used one picket, I call it a picket, one stake between each stake that I'm nailing in. Now I wanted to use a screw, but the screws were causing these to split. So I'm a little reluctant, but these are ribbed nails so that they hold better. So I'm pretty confident that this will work. So spacing, I measured 1 inch from the bottom so that they would hang down a little bit and kind of hide the bottom of the box, and then space them with the extra stake. And that I went all the way across. And then I put some 1x2s on top and screwed them down into the wood. Now they are absolutely not coming out. So I did, however, after the fact, realize this is the ugly side out that I have shared with my classes. When you build a fence, in fact, my old fence there in the background, it's old. It's probably 25 years old, but I do like the wood. I've got the pretty side on my side because whoever built the house built it before the neighbors had a house. there was just lots there, and so the pretty side is facing me all the way around. That just means you can't see the 2x4s or the brackets or the posts. And I realized when I made this box, like, oh, maybe I should have done the pretty side out, but it's okay. Underneath, it's pretty rough, but I mounted some shelf brackets, pretty heavy duty. This thing is pretty heavy. And in the end, by the way, I added a third bracket in the middle just to make sure this thing doesn't move. Plus, I ended up screwing it into the shed also, so it is not coming down. The only place where it could fail is that bottom piece. I drilled some holes for drainage, but if it gets constant water, it could over time rot out. And I'm a little worried about that, and I'm thinking about maybe lining it with plastic and then punching holes through the plastic where these holes are. And so the water doesn't sit and rot the wood out. So I'm giving that some thought. And now painting it white, decided to brush paint it, not spray paint it. It just absorbs into the wood a little bit better, soaks in instead of spray painting. So I want good, heavy-duty paint. This is just starting the process here. You can see the drip going on there. I'm right in the middle of painting. So after I painted it white, I realized, oh, I'm going so fast in my head when I do things and make things. I constantly realize I did something backwards. So in this case, I'm like, wait, I don't want the whole thing white. I just want the picket fence white. It's supposed to be a picket fence. So how am I going to paint? So I grabbed some brown spray paint, and I'm painting brown in between the pickets. And then I looked at the brown. I realized it would look better green, like there's grass behind the picket fence, not dirt. So then I went back and spray painted all the gaps green. Then I had to go back and hand paint everything white again. Everything was backwards. If I would have just built the fence first, the picket fence, and painted it white, and then painted the box green, problem solved. I make it up as I go. So it took me quite a bit. It took me quite a bit of work. I had to go in and here you can even see the sides of the pickets are white on the top, but in the middle, they're not. They're green because I spray painted. And then I repainted just the tops of the pickets. I'm like, maybe I can get away with that. But then I looked at it and thought, oh, no. So what I did is I cut a little piece of cardboard perfectly that fit between each picket. And then I went in and hand brushed the sides of all the stakes white. It was a lot of work, and I had to do 2 or 3 coats to cover the green. When I was done, I lacquered it, sprayed some really nice waterproof lacquer, clear lacquer on top of it. And then here I climbed up and screwed it into the shed. So not only are the shelf brackets on the bottom screwed into the shed, but inside the box, I did 4 long screws that go all the way into the shed as well. And it should be good. And then this is what it looks like with the plants back in it, and I ran the water back up. If you look carefully, you can actually see water dripping out the bottom already. So one thing that window up there opens. I took the screen out and I went up there and I reached in and turned down the water so that each drip line was just dripping and not pouring, because it's on the same zone as my front yard sprinklers, which sometimes go for an hour in August, and right now they're going for 30 minutes, but that's a lot of water flooding these plants if it's just open water. So I just want them to drip for a half hour so they get wet but not soaked, and I definitely shouldn't have water running out the bottom. If it does that every other day, it's going to probably rot that wood pretty quickly. So we'll see how it goes. I do like how it looks, though, and so I wanted to share one of my projects with you. So thanks for joining me for this project episode. I'll catch you next time. For now, Mr. Johns is out.